Welcome to the Melanie with Cousin Skip podcast. Hola, I'm Niji. This is
Hey,
Cleophas.
I ain't got to know what this is. Y'all know what this is. I ain't got to introduce myself.
This is Mel. Cleophas.
Cousin Skip.
All right. So today's topic, Cousin Skip, you want to talk to him about what we're talking about today?
Well, today we thought that paternity and the pitfalls and drawbacks and all of the concomitant features of paternity was a good topic. So that's what we'll be discussing today.
All right. And now, you got anything you want to say to open everybody up, or are you going to sit there with that grin and
No, I was wondering why you looking over at me when we say paternity. Like I got like 15 kids or something.
Nobody said you have 15 kids.
I'm not behind on child support. I don't even pay it because I'm good. My kids are old. But anyway, it's step one. But no. This show is really going to be about talking about like Cousin Skip said, the pitfalls of paternity suits, child support, and how the court views us men as when we go in. And we'll also talk about some of the women cases, and we hope a lot of men and women do call into this because it's a very important subject. Because a lot of people's lives are being ruined by this.
Segue, excuse me. By the way, happy International Women's Day to all of the women viewers. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We knew we weren't getting that from this one. But thank you, Cousin Skip. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
I'm sorry to cut you off for that, Mel.
So
Go on.
No problem. Hey, it's what it is.
So this conversation is really important because, like Mel was saying, that people's lives are really being ruined. And I think we're hoping that this podcast will give people an opportunity to kind of share their stories. And if they have advice for either the mother, father, whichever, we welcome that opinion. One of the things, and just talking to a couple of people that I found was that, number one, a lot of men don't know their rights. Once they sign a birth certificate and they find out the child's not theirs, a lot of them don't know their rights, or they're of the mindset that it doesn't matter. The court's going to automatically side with the woman. And then you have women on the other side who understand and realize that the system is biased, it's slanted. And so they wanted to, kind of give their impression and their feedback of it. There was a couple questions that I posed in the ad that we sent out. One of them was, and feel free to call in at 202-227-6500. You can send us a chat on any platform that this is live streaming on. But a lot of them, just wanted to kind of call in and give their story. And some stories are different, different that I haven't heard. Some women, they find out the true paternity of their child when the man requests the DNA. You know what I mean? So you have that there. So one of the questions was, do you think a woman should be penalized, a woman that intentionally lies about the paternity of her child? Should she be penalized? Is that not considered fraud? It's things like that. So that's my whole back of why I wanted to do this, because I think it's really, really important. It ruins kids' lives, husbands and wives' lives. So
a whole lot of people.
It's a full circle. Now, what you got to say?
No, I think that when it comes down to it, I think the woman should be definitely penalized for it, because I know when it comes down to child support and things of that nature, there's three things that they'll come after you for the rest of your life: taxes, child support, and student loans. They'll come after you for those three things. If nothing else, they will come for your neck. So, if that's not your kid and you don't want to pay for it, that's fine. Well, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you less of a man. And you have a lot of women who want to, be there just like the King Kong and be like, oh, if you're a real man, you pay for it. No, if you're a real woman, you would know who you slept with. And you would know who and forth in court, getting my money taken from me, getting arrested, getting my driver's license taken. And for you guys who don't know, if you owe over $2,500 in child support, do you realize that you cannot get a passport, that you are a prisoner in America? And do you also too understand that do you also too understand that if you move to a different state without letting the state know that who you owe child support to, that if you owe over $10,000, that give me 1 second. 1 second, caller. If you move to another state and you owe over $10,000 and you don't let that state know that you're leaving, that's a felony. That's a felony. A lot of people don't know that. So you have to know the law going in. And also, too, when you get to court, you need to know the law. When they call you up and say, you're the father of this child, Mr. Bethea, you have to, and they'll tell you immediately, because I've had several of these letters over the years. So I'm just saying, the first thing they're going to tell you is bring a copy of your pay stubs down here. Come on down, but they're not going to tell you that you can take a blood test for $223 and to find out the paternity of the child. They just tell you to bring your stuff down there, and they automatically give the mother, she's a custodial parent, which is against the law. The first law is that you find out who is the custodial parent first before you go ahead and start dishing out the money. And my thing about it is, too, a lot of these women who go to court for child support is that, why haven't you gone to court first for paternity, and also to who's going to have custody of the child? Because child support lasts for 18 years. A relationship lasts for a lifetime. So there's a big difference in that. But that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah, I definitely agree that I think the default is the mother in most cases. I mean, she gave birth to the child, so it's probably what the child winds up with her initially, which makes sense. But I think the same.
No.
No, I mean, unless you can prove the mother to be unfit. I mean, she gave birth to the child, so the child is automatically going to be in her care. I mean, so would the child come out of the womb to the dad's house? I mean,
that's not always the case.
It's streaming on your phone.
Yeah, I know. That's not always the case.
What's not always the case?
That the child is with the mother. Because I lived with my father from the time I was, so my parents got divorced when I was 6 years old until I was 14 years old.
I'm saying, when the child is born, the child automatically resides with the mother because the mother just gave birth to the child. I'm not talking about when the child gets older. I'm talking about when the child is born, that the first person that's caring for that child is the mother. Not saying that the dad is not present during the delivery, but it's by default. So a lot of times when guys go to court for whether it be custody or whatever, they're almost, and to me, it almost seems like they're already at a disadvantage because the child has been residing with the mother for however long. So a lot of guys, at least the ones that I've spoke to, a lot of guys feel like the court is going to automatically side with the mother. So why bother going to court to fight paternity or going to court to fight child support or any of those things? Because the way, in their mind, the way that the system is set up is that the mother is automatically by default the better parent. That's,
well,
I don't agree with that, but
she's the custodial parent by virtue of having carried the child for 9 months and given birth. That gives her automatic custody.
Right.
Mel, do you have a caller there?
No, I know they're not.
Okay. I think it's important to note that while paternity fraud isn't a crime in any state, and there are as many different types of laws per state as there are states. So if you want to know what your rights are, you have to check what they are in that particular state. There are several organizations who are petitioning that there is a general rule or law of the land, government, in other words, a federal law about maternity. Mm-hmm. And many groups are espousing that a blood test be done regardless. That's whether or not you know that you and your wife have fidelity between you or whatever it is. As it stands at present, there are between 5.7 million and 7 odd million men who have been attested to be the father of a child who is not that child's biological parent. So up to 30% of men who are on the birth certificate or are paying child support or any combination thereof is not the parent of the child, is not the biological parent.
But go ahead. No, finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No. How you deal with that is you go and get a blood test and find out if you are or if you aren't.
But what if there is no cause to get a blood test? You've been with this person and the baby's born in hospital, you sign a birth certificate because there's no indicators that this child is not yours. There's nothing suspect. And you sign the birth certificate, you're on the hook. You're on the hook whether after the fact you take a blood test or not. You're still on the hook financially. Right. So the question is, and callers, viewers, we'd like to ask you the same question. If a child is then found after the father signed a birth certificate and the child is found to not be that particular person's child, should he still have to be financially obligated? Or should he have a choice to want to continue to be financially obligated because maybe he, formed a bond with this child and he's raised a child as his own, or not? So call us and let us know what you think. Send us a chat on whichever platform you're on. And again, the question is, if a man is found to not be the biological father of a child after he's already signed the birth certificate, should he still be obligated?
Well, I'm just going to give my opinion on it. Nobody. I just want to say that I wouldn't care if the child was 17 and a half years old and I get off on that 18th year. I want off. I want out because I was deceived for the whole time. I don't care what type of emotions, what type of feelings I got into it, how I gotta self-medicate or what I gotta do. But I don't want to be I don't want anything to do with that. I really don't. So should she Yes, she should. Yes, she should. And men shouldn't be so afraid to go to court.
Well, that's the gentleman, the father will be able to possibly get reimbursed if the mother knowingly ascribed parenthood to him or fatherhood to him. But if she didn't know, he's not going to have any recourse, That's not paternity fraud if she didn't do it intentionally.
But then the question is, how do you determine what was intentional and what wasn't intentional?
Well, the courts are going to err on the side of the child. And if there are probably a lot of women who think they know who the father is. Yeah. You know the adage, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. That's been true, and that's still true, and that's always going to be true.
Even the plaintiff though, because it's more against hers, right? If she didn't know, right? But at the end of the day, when the paternity test goes back, and that's not the father, whether you intentionally knew or not, you knew that you were sleeping with somebody else during the same time you were sleeping with a potential possible father. There's no denying that once the paternity comes back, right? So I think the same scrutiny that they would put a man through is the same scrutiny they need to put a woman through, in my opinion. Now, my opinion.
You know, infidelity is an entirely different subject, you know. And if the woman thinks the timetable is okay, it was you when I was fertile this time, okay, and you agree, yeah, I think it was me, and you signed that paper, it was you.
You
It's
done.
you.
You done. And you done.
Okay, but once you sign it, you're financially obligated. But my question still is, once you find out that it's not your child, should you still then be held financially obligated? I don't think you should.
Wait a minute. Cousin Skip made a good point. He said you can go to 51 different states and there'll be 51 different child support laws about this particular subject. He's right.
We're talking about
Paternity, right. We're talking about paternity. So
And paternity fraud.
right, paternity fraud. But my thing about it is that a lot of people don't get it. They don't think about it when they're doing it. They just want somebody to feed. And a lot of times the system put pressure on these women to just point out a guy. And she can point out me, some of my golf buddies or whoever, and say, hey, they're the father of my baby or whatever. And I might not be.
right. But then the guy is taken through all these changes. Well, let me not put it that way. I think the guy is automatically set up for child support. They'll put him on hook for child support before they tell him he needs to take paternity test. You know what I'm saying? I think it's sad. Which I think is sad. I honestly, sometimes I think there should be a mandatory paternity test done in the hospital, if you're not married. I mean, if you are married too. I think there should be. I think there should be a test, a blood test, when they're doing the baby's footprint. You know what I'm saying? Before there's a birth certificate that's signed. Because there's too many people that are signing birth certificates because they're under the impression that this is a child. And the other thing is, I know a lot of women ain't gonna agree with this, but whatever. There are a lot of women out there that know damn well that man ain't a child, but because of his financial status or whatever other accoutrements he may have, they're like, oh yeah, you the baby daddy. And him not knowing.
Lansing, Michigan. Mm-hmm. Edward L. Mack was floored to learn just weeks after his divorce that 2 of the 3 children born during his 10-year marriage were fathered by another man.
You know what I'm saying?
He was even more shocked that the discovery under Michigan law meant absolutely nothing. A year later, he still pays $375 a month in child support for all 3 children. So this is obviously a state in which, you know, the deed is done. The children are our primary concern. Now, you know, economics are a major part of the laws that are established by states, because the more you, meaning the father or some man, pays, the less the state is going to have to pay to take care of that child.
But let that man fall on hard times. Say because he's financially obligated because he signed a birth certificate. Let that man fall on hard times and get behind in child support. Now he's going to jail. That's a whole nother story.
In some states, that's a fact.
So now, because you can't meet a financial obligation, which is not a crime, you just ain't got the money to pay it, you're going to jail. But the fact that she lied about the fact that she wanted her dad, there's no penalty for that. You see what I'm saying? So even when the guy goes to jail and comes back out, now guess what? He has a charge on his record for a financial obligation, not for a crime, a financial obligation, which I don't think is right. That's just my opinion. I don't think that's right. I think it
isn't right, and that's why there are several groups that have been trying to get a law across the land to deal with paternity fraud and to make it easier for a man, once he has taken a blood test. It doesn't matter whether the woman knew or didn't know, but he should have some course of redress.
Exactly.
It's been determined that he's not the father of that child.
Right.
He should, because, you know, many men, they might love a child to death, But once he finds out he's not the biological father of that child, that's likely to change his whole perspective on that child. You know, he
You
might
know
not
what?
ever want to.
And it's
Go
sad
ahead.
because the child's the one that suffers.
I'm sorry.
It's sad because that child is the one that suffers.
Yeah, but
It's
yeah,
not-
like yeah, but life goes on. But look, anyway, look, Skip, you're absolutely right about that because that would change my whole outlook um on the child. If that was me, my whole outlook would change. I would feel very much different about the whole situation. Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, did your mom tell you this and she knew about this and y'all just been gagging me the whole time? Or, when did you find out that I wasn't your father? Did you find out last year, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and she just, made you keep quiet? Because the domineering parent usually rules their child. I tell people that all the time. The domineering parent usually rules the child. And a lot of people always say, all these deadbeat dads, these deadbeat dads. My thing about it is that when it comes down to that whole thing, why didn't you go for joint custody first instead of going for the money? You must want the money. You didn't care about whether they had a relationship or not. But that's another topic for another time. Because we're here to talk about um paternity. But that's the topic for another time that we will get into. That I think that's very important is that why do they give out money before they give out the time? But one thing about it is that you commit a crime and they'll give you a little fine. You pay a little fine off, but they're going to give you a whole lot of time. Trust me.
Right.
I know almost experienced it.
And the other thing is, there was also another situation that took my attention where, anyway, there was another situation where a parent, the mother, thought that the child, one particular guy was the child's father. There was no thought that it wasn't. The father didn't have an issue, the mother didn't have an issue. So this child grew up to be a young adult. And sneakingly, the husband's, the father's partner got a DNA test done or a paternity test done of the child who's now a young adult. And so the biological mother and the father found out at the same time that he's not the biological father. So that's a case where the mother really did not know. And there was no discussion between the mother and the father. And the father was okay with it, the mother was okay. And the child, they raised the child together, the child grew up. But because someone else, a third party, decided to gather that bit of DNA and was like, oh, see, I told you this wasn't your child. So the child's a young adult. So in a case like that, should she be penalized? When in a case like that, she found out at the same time the guy found out.
Right. And that's what we were saying earlier. Go ahead, Mel.
Why? She didn't know.
So she said she didn't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that she was gonna run in the liquor store and rob it, and I just drove off in the car. He didn't know. I didn't know.
Skip did not run into a liquor store.
If he do something wrong and then get my car, I'm with it. You know what I mean? So she knew something was going on. She knew she was two men within a certain amount of time. So she knew it could possibly be the other guy's kid. So I'm not buying, oh, she found out where he found out.
I'm telling you stories if it's told to me.
Do you know these people? Do you know these people?
I was talking to a bunch of people today. A bunch of people.
That don't matter.
I'm ignoring him. Just saying. I mean, there's different scenarios, right? There's different variables to everything. But I think paternity, I still maintain that there should be a blood test done when the child is born. And before anybody signs birth certificate, there needs to be paternity established. That way, nobody's blindsided. Nobody can say they don't know.
Ever.
Right, ever. When that child is born, get a blood test. I don't care if you're married or not, because people be stepping out, stepping in, whatever. Get the blood test, establish paternity, and then go from there. You know. So, but we want to hear from some guys. We want to hear from some women, some guys. You don't have to have a horror story. Just call us in and let us know your perspective and what you think. You know, give us some feedback on the topic at hand.
And the number is 227-500. What you got going on and we don't have any women.
Right.
Because some just didn't know.
He said that with a smirk. He said that with a smirk.
Yeah.
He don't believe y'all. I'm just saying.
Yeah, y'all women just didn't know. I didn't know that he wasn't the father.
He was so insincere.
But he's going to pay, though. He's going to pay. Whether I knew he was the father or not, he's going to pay Cousin Skip.
I get that. And on the topic of paternity fraud, that takes a lot of factors out of consideration. That presumes that the mother knew she was blaming somebody for being the father of a child that she knew was not the father. So under those conditions, you know, you can take out mistakes and infidelity and people who just weren't upfront with the parents, with the father of their children when they were being, you know, they were carrying on different types of relationships, and they just didn't have the courage to tell the father, I don't know if this is yours or not, you know. I'm not sure that's not what's covered under paternity fraud. And paternity fraud, you know, men sometimes have recourse, sometimes they don't. In the state of, for example, in Texas, men have a presumption of paternity. These include cases in which the child is born during the marriage or by the 300th day after the marriage ended. So that's with or without a paternity test. After the marriage, say again? Right.
You just saying? I think that's part of the problem.
No. That's not part of the problem.
That is part of the problem.
No. We talked about this on the last show, Cousin Skip, that not knowing the law is no excuse. It's no excuse. And when you get in court, what Cousin Skip said is so true, because I bought a house down in Texas, and it wasn't worth the money that it was worth, and they still wanted me to pay for it, even though somebody had swung me out of $200,000. So what Cousin Skip says is correct when it comes down to these kids and the time period that lapses after that. So my thing about it is that, so what are you gonna do? Pull out a book before you speak with a woman?
No, that's not what I'm saying. Men's rights are not readily available. Because I'll tell you this, you can go down to a child support office, they will tell a woman, well, you know, you can get them for this, you can get them for that, you can get this, you can get that, you that information is not readily available to men. There are a lot of men, whether you agree or not, that feel as though that the courts are designed in the woman's favor. So they're not being told that you can get legal aid. Now, granted, you can Google it. I get it. You can Google it, but they're not. There's a lot of rights and stuff that they don't know that they have or can pursue. So I'm not saying ignorance is bliss, but you only know what you know, right? And like what Cousin Skip is saying, who would have known? Who would have known?
Right.
But they tell us exactly what you can get, how much you can get. You can be going down there with a set amount in your head. Okay, I only need this much because he's already paying that much. You just want it documented, right? Go down to court and say, that happened to me. I went to court, went down to the child support office, already getting paid what I need to get paid. I just want it documented because I'm moving out of the state. When I tell you they took 30 to 40 minutes to tell me, girl, you know, he makes this amount, you can get him for this, and you should get him for that, and you should get, I'm like, no. What he's giving me, I'm okay with. I just need to document it. But there were so many different things that they were telling me to get him for. Girl, get him for, not, you know, and I'm like, wow. Wow.
Sex is like boxing. Like the ref says. He says, touch gloves, God bless you, and protect yourself at all times. And that's what you gotta do. That's what it is. Hey, that's what it's saying, Cousin Skip. They touch gloves, protect yourself at all times. That's it. Have a good fight. That's it. And that's how sex is. If you don't protect yourself at all times, you will come out in these situations. Trust me, I've had paternity letters, I've taken tests, I've done it all. I've been there, I've done it. I understand.
But you're under they don't. You're under the impression that everybody has the same degree of knowledge that you do, and they don't. And I mean, they should, but they don't. So we can't take a broad brush and just brush it across like all men should know. Well, you know, if you get in the boxing ring without the y'all don't protect yourself. I mean,
they know that. They know that.
Condoms great.
All men know that. All men know that.
Well, it's true that ignorance is not a defense against the law. That's not a defense.
Right.
But you know, most of the times when people are dealing with emotions, they're not thinking about, well, I need to go check my legal rights while I'm dealing with this woman, you know. Those things are pretty much mutually exclusive until it hits you upside your head and it's something you should have done, you know. I mean, that's water under the bridge, so you have to deal with whatever it is that you're facing. But, you know, if I think men have redress for paternity fraud, and I believe, well, if you've got the money to pursue it, regardless of whether or not Texas gives you 300 days to attend to your business, you know, if you have the money to pursue the matter, then you can. But if you don't have the money, then you just at the mercy of the laws of the state that you live in.
Right. Yeah. Again, I know ignorance is not bliss, and ignorance is definitely not. But we can't act like people have access to the same. That people's mindset is the same. So I just think some grace needs to be given, because we give grace to women when it comes to them not knowing certain things. All I'm saying is that we need to make the playing field even. I mean, you know, the same information pamphlets we got to give out to women that, you know, that are single mothers. A lot of single mothers aren't necessarily single mothers by choice. Some are. You know, but there's a lot of single dads out there too. There's a lot of single dads out there that fought for paternity and won, right?
Sure.
So do they do the and I don't know this because so I'm asking. Will the women go to jail if they don't pay child support if the man has custody?
Yeah.
I'm asking. All right. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of single fathers out there that's raising their kids. And I'm just wondering, any callers, y'all know the answer to that, let me know. I'm just wondering, do they get the same, not the same rights, but is it pursued the same way for them to get child support? And if the woman doesn't get child support, if the woman says she can't pay, does the judge say go get a second job? Because I've heard that happen. Go get a second job or you go to jail? I don't know. I don't hear much about that. So I'm just asking.
And the line is open 202-227-6500. Go ahead, Skip.
I don't think equality is the point here. I think this is as much because I don't think the state gives a damn one way or the other who the father is.
Right.
They just want somebody to take care of that child financially. And the laws of the state generally make it easier for the state to go after the accused father or the one who signed the paper to take care of that child.
Well,
From an actual, somebody just text one quick thing concerning that. So what they're saying is that in the hospital, a woman can just put down the man's name.
Right.
She can just put his name. In Pennsylvania, you can just put the man's name down. So whether he consents or not, she can put your name down. So then what happens then?
That's when he runs and gets a paternity test.
But if you don't know that she put your name down, and
Yeah,
then
well,
next thing
as soon as you get the papers asking you for your money, that's when you go and get you a DNA test to determine whether you are or whether you aren't.
Right, but the name is on the birth certificate. We go back to the name being on the birth certificate.
But
But in the state of Pennsylvania, he doesn't have to sign it. She can just put his name down.
right, she may just put his name down, but he's still has the rights to get that paternity.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I'm sure he does have some type of, I think, when it comes down to it, I had times that I had been to Marlboro, and the only thing I got in the mail was send
your money.
Send me your pay stubs, how much you make, this, that, and other. Come on. They didn't tell me none about the paternity test. They didn't tell me anything. Now my job to get a lawyer and find out. And once I got a lawyer and found out my right to work, that's when I went after it the way I did. And I went after kind of vigorously because I was kind of mad about the whole situation that it wasn't what it was supposed to be. And I wasn't mad because the young lady cheated on me or she did whatever she did. I wasn't mad about it. I was mad that she called me about a kid. You know what I'm saying? You told me about this thing human life we're talking about here that you're calling me about.
Right.
And so I gotta bend over and take all of this because you calling me about some kid here. I don't know nothing about. But the kid was light skinned, so I knew he wasn't my kid was light skinned.
Just light skinned people?
No, I didn't.
Well, was she?
Was she light skinned?
No, she was light skinned.
Does she got somebody in her family that's light skinned?
It's not my problem.
See.
The problem was
were you the baby pap baby?
No.
Well, did you know that a woman can have had relations with a man who is not the father of the child, but the child can still look like that cat?
Yeah.
This is a scientific fact.
Right.
What's your response?
You can get in big trouble with that.
Right.
And especially with how often DNA tests are wrong.
Or inaccurate, right.
It's not uncommon that they are wrong. So if you happen to be that guy that didn't do it, but that baby looks like you, and the DNA test is wrong too, you're just in all kind of trouble.
And the judge say feed him so he look like you.
Someone on Facebook, she said, by state, is the named father required to pay for determining paternity test? So
yes.
Is the named father is the one responsible for paying for the paternity test?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think the person who wants to know if you think if you're not the parent who is raising the child and who is not paying for the child, but you think that child is yours, you can go and get a DNA test to find out if you are or if you aren't, so that you can get your rights as a parent.
So you're saying whoever is requesting the paternity,
whoever is requesting the DNA test can go and pay for it and get it.
So you can probably turn around and sue the person that lied to you after you get the paternity test for the money you spent for the paternity test.
You can certainly sue for your rights to have a role in that child's life. You can do that.
See, but then again, it goes back to what I was saying. Okay, you fight for your right to have a role in a child's life, But because your name is on a birth certificate, you got a roll. You got a bankroll by default, which I don't know. I just think that is so wrong. I just think it's absolutely wrong. And I think that, like I said, if the father is the one taking care of the kids, he should be afforded that same right. He should be paid child support. And if she don't pay child support, like the judge has told so many men, get another job or you go into jail. The same exact statement need to be to the other side. Because if it's about the children, then let's just be fair. Let's just be fair.
I think it should be an even kill. I think that just like a man is charged, I think women should be charged with the same thing.
Right.
With
There
the
should
same
be parity.
yeah. It should be if you just like if I snatched my daughter and took her down to another state, they would charge me with kidnapping.
Right.
They should charge the woman the same way. She shouldn't get no extra pass or anything like that or nothing. She should get what she get coming to her, and that's how I feel about it.
And I think once maternity is established, I think that man, once maternity is established, I don't think a man should have to fight just to get access to his child. You know what I'm saying? Once that paternity is established, unless he is violent, unless he is detrimental to that child's health and well-being,
Right.
that man does not have to fight to get access to that child. And there
I
are a lot
agree.
of men, and I'm sure there's some men, but there's a lot of women that use their children as pawns because the
That's
relationship
weapons.
is just pissed off at him. So now you can't see your child. So now, blah, blah, blah. Well, I need diapers. Oh, by the way, you still can't see your child. That's BS to me.
Whoa. Now,
Who did that to
in the defense, no. In the defense of women, some guys go over there and they feel because they got kids, they can, dip and dodge a little bit, and let me get a little bit over here, and let me get a side piece over there, and let me, get on the menu over here and do this, that, and other. And that's when usually 95% of the time all the ugliness comes out. Because once you find out that you're not loyal and you're not a part of the game and y'all got the child together and this, that, and the other, that's why I wish if I had a nonprofit, I would have all boys and I would take them down to child support court and tell them this is what 3 minutes of your time can get you. It can get you 18 years. 3 minutes of your time can get you 18 years. I'm telling
It's
you.
your 20 to life.
Right, this is 20 right here. Hey, look, you get less time for having a gun in your car, but you're gonna pay for. In some states, it's till you 23. My dad had to pay child support until she was out of college. So I'm just like, wow. And I'm gonna end on this right here. I won't say no more. When I got through paying child support for my daughter in Virginia, they sent me a letter saying, Mr. Bethia, you have been emancipated from paying child support.
Right.
No, they didn't say you had to stop paying. You have been emancipated. Like I was a slave or something. I was like,
You were.
exactly.
Because they were going to follow you everywhere you went.
Exactly.
So, I hear what you're saying, and I kind of dig over here, and because they got a child with that woman, you think that gives them access. To me, that's outside of whether he should have access to his child. Whatever. What? No, I've never had that issue. My son has a very good father and never had those type of issues. Thank you. But what I'm saying is, whether he's dipping and diving, got a side piece or not, that has nothing to do with his ability to have access to his child, as far as I'm concerned. That has everything to do with the relationship that you had. So whether he a hoe in the streets or whatever it is, if he's a good father, he's a good father. What he does with his extracurricular time is his business. Because at the end of the day, some of us women are doing the same thing. So if the goal is about the child, Let it be about the child. Whatever extracurricular he's doing, unless he's doing drugs and high and stuff with the child, that's totally different. But if your issue with him is that he's sleeping around with other women, that's an issue on a relationship standpoint. That ain't got nothing to do with his ability to be a good dad.
That's a non-issue.
What a good father from just being a bad person to you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, and I know that opinion is probably not popular. I don't really care, but I'm just saying. The color blue is blue no matter which shade it comes in. So right. I mean, and I think that's what happens. And I've heard from a lot of guys that say the reason why they don't pursue certain things or they don't fight for custody is because they don't want to have to deal with the mother. They don't want that back and forth with the mother. They don't want to be arguing and cussing and screaming in front of the mother. Now, granted, there's some guys that like to provoke and that want to do all that. But for the most part, they don't want to fight with the mom every time they want to see the child. It's this big blow up fight and they're being told they ain't no good. And in some cases, it's being done in front of the kids. Right. And like Mel said earlier on, that the dominant parent has the child's ear. You know what I mean? So they constantly hear about how your dad ain't no good, your dad ain't no good. The moment that dad do something wrong, mom said you weren't no good anyway. I don't know why he came over here. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, there's a whole bunch of that kind of go into that whole thing. And again, I know my opinion is not probably the popular one with women, but we gotta hold ourselves accountable as women, as well as men. But as women, we need to hold ourselves accountable.
Sure.
I think.
And it's much like anything else, You've got to be responsible for your own behavior. For every action, there is a consequence to that action.
Right.
Now, it doesn't matter if you know what it is or not,
Right.
But
know that it is.
Still the consequence. Right.
Right. There just is. Right.
So you behoove yourself to find out what the consequences are going to be of your actions. Because ain't nothing fly about going around sleeping with this one and I got a baby over here and 2 over there and 3 over here. I got 5 baby mamas. I'd be embarrassed to even say that to anybody,
Right.
Because that's just stupid,
And then you got babies, and then on the flip side, you got men with babies all around the place, and then you got women that's having babies by 3 or 4 different dudes, or whatever your reasoning is. But then they're not even taking care of the babies.
And because the thing that makes me laugh is that they got 4 or 5 different baby mamas. Now all of a sudden they turn 60. I turn 55, and now everything's in the name of Jesus. Now you done all this collateral damage. Now everything's in the name of Jesus now. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just hey. That's an excuse. Everybody gets religious all of a sudden, or everybody finds religion after they've been. Yeah, pretty much opposite the crazy, but I like that. But it's one of those type of things. Then you just have to find out, where you are and what you're doing in your life. And I tell people all the time that if you don't have a relationship with your kids, pick up the phone. All you gotta do is pick up the phone and give them a call. Some kids will listen to you, some kids won't listen to you. But if you pick up the phone and say, I'm sorry, and start a conversation, instead of getting on the phone saying, I'm your daddy, and you need to be listening to me. Or I'm your mama, and you need to be listening to me. It's one thing to say that you're something, but it's a whole nother thing to play the role. You have to play the role. You can't come in saying that, oh, I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm not, and that, and I'm this, and that. You can't come in like that. Right.
Yeah, and I think that if that other person wants to be children, you need to give them access. If you don't want to listen, if you don't want to hear that man's voice or that woman's voice, then give the child a cell phone that the mom or the dad can call a cell phone and talk directly to the child. But because there's so many men out here that want to be fathers to their children, there's so many women out here that want to be mothers to their children, and they don't have access. They just don't have access. And And at the end of the day, our question when people do that, is it really about the children or is it about your feelings? Who are you winking at? Are you winking at? Are you winking on live? Mel, let me live.
But I think we're all in agreement that the paternity laws there needs to be equity across the board regarding paternity. I mean, it should not be if I take a paternity test in Iowa and it's proven that I am or am not the father, I get my rights, or I can fall back and do nothing if I choose to, and it'd be something totally different in Arizona. It shouldn't be that way.
Right.
But that passport law is universal. There's no
way.
It is. Yeah.
That's a federal thing.
Yeah, it's a federal thing. There's no way. I'm telling you, when I went to get my passport renewed, I'm gonna tell you what the guy told me. He pulled me to the side.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. The guy pulled me to the side of the post office. He said, "Look, bro, I know you're here to renew your passport, but if you owe anything in child support over $2,500, you won't be a hostage in America because you're not getting out." And that's what. And I'm like, "Nah, bro, I don't owe nothing." So he took my other passport book. Said, "Okay, they'll send you, your information the next 2 weeks or whatever," and they send me a new passport. So I'm just like, it's like you really have to be careful because they'll take your driver license from you. You won't be able to get a hair license, barber license, yes, it affects all that stuff. They snatch your tax from you. They snatch all that stuff away from you. Yeah, y'all don't be scared to call in. Nobody deals with the police, so you're good. You can call in.
If you are delinquent in your child support payments, and that means that you have made an agreement to pay child support.
Right.
If you're delinquent, well, if you're not working, you're not working. But as soon as you start working, they will start garnishing your income. Right. You'll never get another federal income tax refund until your child support is paid. And that will be true for the state in which the child was born as well.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think, in your opinion, if you had back child support and you called the support office and you set up some type of payment arrangement, does that still affect your ability to get a passport?
Yeah.
Because I know with the IRS, if you're under a payment plan, you're not in default. You're under a payment plan. So that's how I'm asking the question. If you're under a payment plan with the child support office, they don't look at it the same way?
No.
The IRS has obviously agreed with all child support offices that $2,500 is the plateau. Anybody above $2,500 is not eligible to get a passport.
You will not leave this country. You will be in America. Why do you think so many people visit what's it called, the U.S. Virgin Islands?
That's paid. But I got a passport.
No, we're doing my child support.
Oh, that's what I was asking.
This is child support.
Okay, yeah, it's child support. Right.
And to be sure,
not tax. That has nothing to do with tax.
Depending upon how much you owe in taxes, there's a plateau for that as well. Okay.
Right.
If you owe too much money in back taxes, they're not letting you go anywhere either.
Right. And matter of fact, you go in front of the judge, and the judge is going to ask you for your passport. The judge is going to
Yeah,
ask you.
he's going to ask you to surrender it.
Right. So surrender your passport.
Hmm.
Right. And they're going to give you a nice piece of jewelry, similar to your watch. It's going to be an ankle bracelet, though. And they're going to know your location. I'm just saying. I know a little something. You know. No, I've been around the world a few times. You know, this is not my first rodeo.
Okay, so how many days?
Hey, I only got 3 girls. Only got 3 girls. That's it for me. That's it.
Okay.
Now I've been accused a heap of times. Now I've been accused. I've been accused a heap of times, but hey, without kids, it only came out 3. That's it.
That's not a problem.
No, no, it's not a problem on their part because they should know who the father was before they drug me down there.
So what do we agree that some of the things that should be common across the board in terms of paternity? What do we think all states should accept or mandate for that matter?
Blood tests should be done when the child is born.
Blood tests, absolutely.
Absolutely. Before anybody signs anything, a blood test should be done. And if the father is not present, nobody should be able to write his name.
That's right.
Or no document.
That's right.
Paternity. Second of all, once paternity is established, that father or mother, whichever, has equal footing in terms of the benefit of that child. Unless there's some type of domestic violence or something crazy going on. But it should be on equal footing in terms of taking care of that child.
And if we found out that the woman is lying, she should do jail time just like a man would have to do jail time if he was 30 days late or 60 days late on his child support. She should do some kind of jail time. I don't mean pay these little punk fines and stuff like that. She needs to go to the penitentiary and eat in the damn chow hall and get commissary and all the rest of the crazy shit that go on in the penitentiary. She ought to get that kind of time. No. She should go to jail because a lie sends a lot of men to jail. Don't pay your child support. And if you don't pay your child support, the court sees that as a slap in the face. So why not, if you lying to the court about these kids, why can't that be a slap in the face? And you send that woman to the penitentiary and she put on that stripy shit and go to the chow hall and eat that food that's full of goddamn starch.
So you're
I wouldn't.
Go. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't object in cases of paternity fraud, where a woman knowingly accuses a man of being the father of a child when she knows he is not, and he has paid child support. I wouldn't object to making her repay every dime of it. I wouldn't object to that. Going to jail, that's something they discuss. I don't require that she goes to jail, but I would definitely require that she paid back every dime that the man paid.
I don't care anything about the money. I don't care anything about the money. I want to see her do some time because of the lie. I want to see her do some time. Let me tell you why. because time is something you can't get back. I want to see. I want to see her do some time. You can get that money back. I mean, he'll survive that. But I want to see her behind bars and putting her hand up against the glass and all that. I want to see that for my. I need to see that for myself. I need to see that because she lied.
I agree. There should be some. I don't know that I agree that she should
Go to jail.
go into maximum security. I mean, you said you make it so she could get maximum security. You know what I mean? Like she El Chapo or something. Like, I don't think that should happen.
23 hours to be good for her ass.
But I'm just saying, came back. But I don't think that there needs. I think she's the maximum.
Cause Skip Orange is the new black. Lock her ass up.
Oh my God.
Orange is the new black. Lock her ass up. Lock her up.
I think we have probably made our points regarding this topic.
I think
And I think we probably minimally agree that a blood test is in order, right?
yes, we agree.
And
Okay. What else do we agree across the board should be the case?
Men should have equal access in terms of custody. I think they should have equal access. I mean, if a child gets to be 16 and decide they want to stay with their dad or their mom full time, I think they should be able to have that discussion. But I think the child needs the both parents need to have equal access in terms of custody.
So, in other words, when a child is born and parentage is proven,
Right.
if they are not together, it should work just like a divorce, where you split time with this child.
Right. And then I don't like him this week, so now you can't keep him this week, even though the court ordered you to have him this week. You know what I'm saying? Because that craziness happens too. I think there should be equal. He ain't sending no money, so you ain't seeing your child, which happens a lot too. So I just think there should be equal. It should be equal across the board in terms of custody. Because at the end of the day, if in fact it's about the child, then both parents should not have a problem with the equal custody. If in fact it's about the child, unless there's some mitigating factors.
Is it possible to have equal custody of a child? Doesn't one parent have to be the primary parent?
Well, I would say equal. Well, maybe equal custody is not the word, but
shared custody.
yeah, I mean, but when I mean equal, maybe it won't be 50-50, it may be 75, whatever. But
Right.
I mean, that woman needs to have adequate time, to spend with the child, just like the father needs to have adequate time to spend with the child.
Exactly.
They're, Easter and Christmas, they're with the dad, or Thanksgiving and Halloween, they're with the mom, or whatever. I don't think it should be predominantly like 75% one way and 25% the other way. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. Now, if they agree that say the mom or the mom works a lot, and the mom says, listen, could you keep the child 75%? They're in agreement. I think that's great because they're putting the child first. But if it's this whole, you can't see the child because you ain't sending me no child support money, or you make me sick so you can't see the child, I think that's a little crazy. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. So
okay. Well, and that's what it's about. We get some facts and we share our opinions.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, for viewing, and listening. Yes, and listening. Feel free to leave us a comment. You can still leave a comment. Replay the podcast if you like. It'll be listed for about 15 days, 20 days. So, but let us know what you think, and we'll let you know what the next podcast coming up and what we'll be talking about. And we'll be happy to hear from you. All right.
Thank you to all that joined and commented.
All right. Now you got any last words?
No, I just want to say,
next podcast. All right. See you later.
Thank you for joining.